Mining is crucial to Zimbabwe's economy, contributing about 12% to the GDP and 60% of export earnings, primarily from gold, diamonds, chrome, platinum, and lithium. Hello and welcome to Economic Forum, a program where we discuss various issues affecting our economy in Zimbabwe. There can be issues to do with tourism, agriculture, mining, education and health, and many other aspects of life. We bring them to Economic Forum in order to see how they impact our economy. My name is John Masugu, and today we shall be looking at responsible mining, which is very, very important in these days, seeing that there are a lot of mining activities taking place and the extractive industries sort of change the environment. And we're delighted to be discussing all that with our guest here, who is Joyce Machiri. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
You are from the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association. Tell us about this organization very briefly, what you do, before we delve into this important topic that you have come for.
The Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association is an organization that seeks to promote good governance and management of natural resources, and we have about 5 programs, but today we are mainly focusing on the extractives and mining industries program, where we are mainly advocating for good governance and management of the mineral resources that we have, all the minerals that you've mentioned in your introduction, as well as looking at oil and gas. And what we mainly do is to actually influence policies at the national level that actually speaks to the mining sector, to ensure that they actually benefit the mining communities as well as the nation at large, and contributing to the economy of Zimbabwe. As you mentioned, that the mining sector actually is one of the facets that actually contributes to the GDP of the country. And we also build the capacities of communities to be able to understand what mining is, and also to be able to understand how they can benefit, and for them to also derive benefits from mining. So this is mainly what we do amongst some of the programs that we have at ZELA.
And for ZELA to be acceptable in carrying out those programs, which government departments do you work with and other organizations, so that when you get there to the grassroots and even in some of the administrative offices, they know that you are a good partner?
We actually mainly work with the Ministry of Mines. We work with the Ministry of Environment. We also work with EMA, the Environmental Management Agency. We work with the mining companies. We also work with the mining communities, as well as some of the civil society organizations that are also working in this sector. But these are some of the stakeholders that we work with, but there are quite a lot.
Yes. Our focus is mainly on responsible mining, which is very important, and obviously you collaborate with all these bodies that you have mentioned. Maybe a brief description so that the public understand why you are focusing on responsible mining. What is it?
So basically, responsible mining, we are just calling for better mining, where we're saying the companies actually have to be responsible when they come to mine. What are we talking about? We are talking about the environment, where they come in. We are also talking about how they govern the sector. We are also talking about even the social issues that affects the mining communities. We are also even talking about the economic aspects of mining, that they actually have to be responsible. So this actually entails transparency and accountability. It also entails corporate social responsibility. But now we are mainly talking about environmental social governance issues, which they term ESG. So this is what we are mainly calling for, to say, let the environment also be governed and managed in a good way. We also want to see the environment rehabilitated. How are you managing the environment whilst you're extracting? Social issues, how are you also communicating and also engaging the communities where mining is taking place? How are you also conducting in terms of governance, looking at even the rights of workers that are working for the companies, some of the issues that we are talking about and looking into.
You mentioned companies. How about artisanal miners? Do you also address them? Do you also go out there, since almost every other person is involved in mining, and you want to address them because they also impact the environment?
Artisanal mining is actually also at the heart of the work that we do. And you find that most people actually neglect the miners to say they are not responsible and everything. But those people are the most responsible people, only that they lack capacity. So what we do is our work actually entails building the capacity of miners. We work towards formalization of the artisanal mining sector, and it has a number of facets, not only about them being recognized by the law, but also we build their capacity on safety, health, and environmental issues, which we call the SHE issues. And we have been doing this across the gold sector, and now we are also taking it to the lithium sector, where you find that there are also miners who are actually coming up in this sector, in the lithium sector, to say, how can you also do this in a responsible way? And you find that we have many testimonies where small-scale miners, we have now also been imploring issues to do with better environmental management, including issues of timbering of their shafts, and also planting trees to ensure that the environment is also rehabilitated.
That's Joyce Machiri, who is from the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, which is known as ZELA. They look at how we can be responsible in whatever we do with the environment. And when we come back, we shall also look at some of the alternative ways that they've suggested in order to do better mining. So join us in the second segment of Economic Forum.
The Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, ZELA, is a premier environmental protection and sustainable natural resources management focused organization in Zimbabwe and the Southern African region. ZELA's work revolves around promotion of environmental rights to a broader natural resource management agenda that includes resources such as land, water, wildlife, gas, and mineral resources. Thus, ZELA convenes the Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba ZAMI with the Zimbabwe Coalition on Debt and Development ZIMCODD and Zimbabwe Council of Churches ZCC to promote just and equitable mining and mining reforms to achieve sustainable development. The ZAMI provides a platform for dialogue amongst various stakeholders in the mining sector, which include people from mining host communities, parliamentarians, government ministries, development partners, mining companies, civil society organizations, and faith-based organizations to deliberate on mining-related issues in Zimbabwe. ZELA, using the law to protect the environment.
From our earlier discussion in the first segment, it is coming out clearly that responsible mining is very important in our economy, and that's what we are discussing in the program today with our guest, who is Joyce Machiri. Now, obviously, there's a big or huge contribution that comes out of responsible mining. Just give us an overview.
With responsible mining, what we also say is it promotes what we call transparency and accountability in the mining sector. So when we are imploring these responsible mining practices, companies actually become transparent of the activities that they are doing, and also especially the revenues that will be accrued from the mining sector. Also through taxes, it might even be local budgets through CSR activities, which are corporate social responsibility. So just being transparent and also being accountable of their actions will actually translate to economic benefits for the nation. So if you are accountable of the actions you're doing, for example, I mentioned earlier on of the environmental degradation, if the companies become accountable, then you find that we'll still have the land that we have mainly been using for agricultural purposes, because you find that the communities actually use this land for agriculture, and it still also translates to economic development. Them paying their taxes to government, to the local authority, it also even translates to the economic development of the nation, as well as the local authorities or the local areas where they are operating in. So if they become responsible, that's how also this translates to issues of transparency and accountability. The communities, they will also be able to benefit from these mining activities happening in their communities. So that's why we also push for the communities to be able to understand what is mining and how can they also engage themselves in these mining activities, and also engage with the companies, the government, because once also the companies pay their taxes to the local authorities, they also need to understand how the money is being used, so they need to engage with the local authorities for community development.
There are a number of meetings or forums that are held in order to discuss mining. Some of them are called the Indabas. And you have come up with the one you call a Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba. Alternative to what? Why? Why alternative? And what is it that you felt was coming short?
We have the mining indaba that happens annually, where governments, African governments, companies, they meet in Cape Town to discuss mainly production and profits out of the mining activities. But we realized there was a missing link where we need to also put our communities first and also understand how they can benefit also from the mining activities that will be taking place. So that's why we came up with what we call the Alternative Mining Indaba, which we also do in Cape Town. During the time when the mining indaba is happening, we also have the alternative on the side. So we also discuss these issues.
It doesn't confuse anyone.
Not at all. So you find that now we have that relationship between the mining indaba and also the alternative mining indaba, because they realize that this was important, where we also discussed the benefits of the communities. So we actually now have those interactions where we have a day also that we go to the mining indaba, we do our presentations, we also present to them our declarations, and some of the things are also being addressed through these interactions. So that's where we have this alternative mining indaba. But now we have to take it back to the countries, where we also have now what we call the Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba. And we realized, no, we need to do more. And then we have what we call the provincial, district, and also ward indabas, where we just discuss the opportunities and also challenges that are affecting the mining sector. So we start from the ward, we take it to the district, we take it to the province, and then we have this national one, which actually now feeds into the regional one, which happens in Cape Town.
Yes. Now, with this mining indaba, let's look at the recent past. What were the main issues that you raised and were actually accepted or even adopted by the main indaba that is held first? Things that are very important that you highlighted.
For us, it was mainly also about the reporting by the mining companies, just being transparent and accountable, and also coming up with redress mechanisms between the community as well as the companies. One of the key achievements was that the mining indaba actually adopted a reporting framework for the mining companies that are under their jurisdiction, because what we have been grappling with and some of the challenges that we've been facing is that, companies are not transparent in terms of reporting the mining activities happening within their mining companies, and also that there have been conflicts. Conflicts always arise, especially when the companies come in and where communities actually also need redress. So how do they take redress on some of the issues that are affecting them? So the companies actually came up with a framework for redress, grievance redress mechanism, where the communities actually used to engage and also approach the mining companies. And this is the framework that was done by the mining indaba. And I think one of the achievements also that we are proud of is that it was a fight. When we started the alternative mining indaba, they thought, these people just want to make noise. And, the first years would just go there, march, and display our declarations. But now we have that platform where we can actually sit, we engage, and we talk of the issues that are coming out of the alternative mining indaba and the issues that are affecting the communities, and actually find solutions on how best we can address them, which is why we came up with this alternative to the indaba, which is more of a dialogue session.
Yes. So what is the latest declaration and what would be its impact on the communities and mining in general?
Our latest is the one for the Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba that happened in 2024, where we were just discussing, also having a dialogue on the opportunities and solutions, mainly focusing on the just energy transition. There's this lithium boom and also the critical...
I think I'll stop you there. You've explained what it is all about, that is focusing on the transition, the energy transition.
Yes.
And when we get back into the third and final segment, We are going to continue with that and then look at other aspects. That's Joyce Machiri, who is our guest today. She's from the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, and we're discussing responsible mining so that as we develop in mining, we also don't damage our environment. So join us in the third and final segment of Economic Forum.
The Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, ZELA, is a premier environmental protection and sustainable natural resources management focused organization in Zimbabwe and the Southern African region. ZELA's work revolves around promotion of environmental rights to a broader natural resource management agenda that includes resources such as land, water, wildlife, gas, and mineral resources. Thus, ZELA convenes the Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba ZAMI with the Zimbabwe Coalition on Debt and Development ZIMCODD and Zimbabwe Council of Churches ZCC to promote just and equitable mining and mining reforms to achieve sustainable development. The ZAMI provides a platform for dialogue amongst various stakeholders in the mining sector, which include people from mining host communities, parliamentarians, government ministries, development partners, mining companies, civil society organizations, and faith-based organizations to deliberate on mining-related issues in Zimbabwe. ZELA, using the law to protect the environment.
In the last segment of the Economic Forum, we promised to be looking at more opportunities that came out of the ZAMI meetings and the most recent one for 2024. What opportunities do actually come out of these meetings and specifically the recent one?
Thank you. So you find that the ZAMI actually came at a time when the government of Zimbabwe had launched the responsible mining audit, which actually started in 2023. And the report was done. And actually part of the report came out in the public. But the ZAMI actually, when we had a dialogue and we sat with the various stakeholders who were there, including the government, including also mining companies, including the communities and civil society, we were just discussing to say, can we have the results of the audit be put in public? And also I think this is a good initiative where we would also want to have the communities and if possible also civil society involved more of like a multi-stakeholder to also be part of this audit, as we have also some of the issues that we might want also addressed, especially the communities. They have a number of concerns and also issues that they might want also discussed on during these audits that are being done.
Yeah, are people already discussing outside ZAMI, some of the things that came out of the audits, especially in the communities?
Yeah, people are actually discussing, because there's just a part of the audit report that came in the public in terms of summarizing some of the key findings, where also mainly to say the companies are complying with some of the responsible mining issues, but also you find that the artisanal mining is lagging behind. But what can be done also now to address these issues? So we need to come up with solutions that are also, that we can also deliberate on together and find out lasting solutions to some of these issues coming out from the audit. And 2024 again, the process is ongoing, so let's also involve other key stakeholders in this audit.
Let's picture the mining, responsible mining after all these conferences. Are we making any headway, and what is our status compared with other countries? Are we doing well as Zimbabwe?
Well, I think Zimbabwe, you find that we have very good frameworks when it comes to mining, and we are also even in the process of reforming some of our frameworks that actually speaks to mining. So what we just now need to do is to ensure that they are implemented. All the responsible institutions, they actually need to just make sure we implement some of these issues. That will also take me to another recommendation that came out during the Zimbabwe Alternative Mining Indaba, which was mainly talking about environmental impact assessments, to say the companies actually need to make sure that before they start mining, they actually conduct their environmental impact assessments. And also EMA needs to ensure that they actually oversee this to make sure that it happens. So I think mainly our issue is about implementation. We have very good frameworks, and we are also even coming up with better frameworks than other countries. You find this responsible mining initiative, it actually is one of Zimbabwe's flagship in terms of taking it up with regards to mining issues than other countries. So we are at another level in terms of, making sure that we have responsible and sustainable mining in Zimbabwe.
Joyce, let's now look at the impact, and successes of the ESGs, that is the environmental social governance issues. Do they translate into successful businesses and the economy in Zimbabwe?
ESG issues actually help companies with regards to their reputation, the reputation of a company. So once you commit to issues of responsible and sustainable mining, you find that even the trust issues that the communities are grappling with between the companies and their communities, they are actually eradicated because there's trust now, and you find that the reputation of a company actually improves. And you find that we have those companies that are actually listed on the international stock exchange. They're actually doing very well, and you find that their reputation, even globally and even locally here in Zimbabwe, are actually doing well. And I think the other thing for ESG, it actually helps in terms of identifying risks and managing the risks. So these are risks with regards to environmental issues that I mentioned earlier on, which is mainly about environmental degradation, where we have seen across even Zimbabwe, people losing livestock because of the degradation that is happening within the communities, open pits being left out. But if we identify these risks earlier and we find a way to manage them, then you find that we are able to manage the risks. So ESG actually helps business entities to actually be able to identify the risks and manage them. So it might be environmental risks, social risks, as well as some governance risks that are associated with mining.
How are our tertiary institutions assisting in this regard, especially coming up with new technology and innovation that makes mining much cleaner than it was before?
So a lot is happening with regards to technology that is happening in the mining sector. And I think we have the Zimbabwe School of Mines in Bulawayo that is also assisting in that in terms of coming up with various technologies and also educating the various people who are, especially the youths, who might want to understand and also engage in mining issues.
Final words to the public about responsible mining for everyone across the board.
Responsible mining, it's not only really about the companies, but everyone has a part to play, from the government, from the communities, myself as well, in terms of holding people accountable, as well as the communities in terms of holding their duty bearers and also the companies to account. But for companies, it is actually good because it actually enhances their businesses and actually even give them in terms of, more capital for those who are looking for capital, because this actually enhances how they do their business. And if you are being responsible, someone can actually be able to also invest. So responsible mining also helps us to actually address some of these challenges that we are facing locally in terms of mining within our country.
That's Joyce Machiri. She's from the Zimbabwe Environmental Law Association, and they look at various issues that guard, our environment so that it is not exploited negatively. And we've been talking mainly today about responsible mining. If you'd like to get in touch with us about these issues and many others that we bring to the program, you can contact us on the numbers that are showing on your screen. If you have missed some of the episodes of Economic Forum, you can actually watch them on our YouTube channel, which is Economic Forum Zimbabwe. So from our guest, Joyce Machiri from ZELA, and the production crew, this is John Masugu wishing you happy viewing.